Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so it's game day, Laker fans. No Luka, no Austin. Kind of sucks for us, but we got what we have, which is a home court advantage. Play-in was avoided, so that's a success for us. And we are facing the Houston Rockets team that I have a strong opinion about as it pertains to. I don't really think they're that great. I made the pregame video last night. I encourage everybody to check that out. All the stats that you'll care to hear me speak on from the previous 5 games of the Rockets will be there in that video. So I won't be doing that every game. That only has to be done once a series from here on out. And I think at the end of the day, the Rockets are just a team that highly relies upon a few people to do most of their heavy lifting, like a lot of teams, but they're more so than maybe most. Amen Thompson, Tari Eason, Alperen Sengun, Kevin Durant, Reed Sheppard are pretty much the guys that they rely upon. You can throw in some Dodo when he's available, throw in some Clint Capella for certain, though you don't get a whole lot out of him these days, with the exception of the last game they had where he went for a double-double in 20-something minutes. So he's in a good rhythm. So I wouldn't be surprised if Clint Capella has a good early start to this series, but overall I don't expect him to contribute that much. They're not the greatest team. I think they've butchered their roster. I said this about the Rockets before they even made the decision, when it was rumored that they wanted to trade away Green and Brooks and all those guys, that they were going to get worse. They were going to butcher their roster, that it wasn't going to work out. And the presence of Tari Eason and Reed Sheppard make it so that they have a strong top of their bench. Those are very good players to have coming off your bench. After that, their bench is a bit older, not productive. Obviously, if you have Steven Adams in place, you have a dynamic that makes them incredibly big with Capella, Adams, and Sengun. But if you remove Adams, which they have, unfortunately, with injury, now you're looking at a bench that's just not very productive, man. They can only trust about 3 or 4 of those guys. And so for me, it's like, man, I just think we're a more capable roster from top to bottom after you get past the top guys that they're relying upon, their starters. Deshaun Tate, you can throw him in there as productive. He can play well, but tends to disappear. So I guess you could say he's the third guy on that bench that you trust. But like for me, I'd be very disappointed if the Lakers get swept by this team, even without Austin and Luka, because I just don't think they're that damn great. They have some great players. Kevin Durant, Alperen Sengun, or Amen Thompson, I'd welcome into most situations. I think those guys are worth every coin that they're paid. And Reed Sheppard, I'm a believer in. He's going to develop well into a nice 2-guard. He's going to be a nice defender. Tari Eason, I like Tari Eason when he's healthy. I think he's going to be a hell of a piece going forward. Probably should be starting somewhere. But like when it comes to the fullness of what the Rockets have, man, they're not that great, man. They're not Minnesota. They're not Denver. They're definitely not OKC or San Antonio. They're closer to Phoenix than I think maybe they would like to be in that regard. They're like that to me. Who's in the 7th spot? My mind is going blank in the Western Conference. Who's at 7? Who is playing? The Blazers. The Blazers are playing. So I think Rockets are a little better than the Blazers, a little better than the Suns, but not much better. And to me, that's what it really comes down to. I think if we were to get Luka back in this series and he plays like his normal self, I pick us to win that game. Whatever that game is, I expect us to win it. They're not better than us this year. They were better than us last year, before they made the changes that they did, before we made the changes we made. But afterward, I don't see it, man. I think that we can rely upon more of our team from a night-in, night-out basis than they can. They're highly reliant on not having any more injuries. And granted, the Fred VanVleet injury should be mentioned. They haven't had Fred all season. He was supposed to be their main point guard. You're supposed to be able to get 33 to 35 minutes a night out of him, and he's going to put up all-star numbers, especially in this role. The vision is that he would be their playmaker, that he would contribute as a small defender like Reed Sheppard, and their bench would be so much fuller because they would have him and, of course, of course, Steven Adams on top of everything else. Kind of makes their team look a bit more respectable. So they're coming from behind the 8-ball without Fred VanVleet in a real way, and I do respect that as I assess what they are. But they've had ample opportunities to bring themselves some type of continuity creator, playmaking point guard, someone who could just pass the ball around in rhythm and take some pressure off of KD, take some pressure off of Sengun, and they just refused to do right in that regard. And I think it's going to hurt them in these playoffs. I think they're very lucky to run into a Laker team without their two best players, because it might have bought them a series. But they're going to get wiped away clean further afterward. If we don't knock them off, they don't have a snowball's chance in Hades of beating whoever's in that second round. I think we would be OKC. And I don't expect OKC to lose to the Phoenix. But, like, that's really what it comes down to. They ain't got a snowball chance in hell of getting out of that series. And so I just feel like if anybody is a good draw for a Laker team under the circumstances we're under, it would be this Rockets team. It don't get much better for a team like us than that. I would actually rather see the Rockets than the Suns right now. As feisty and as deep as the Suns are in a 7-game series, as physical and as defensive as they are, I don't think we would fare well against them without Luka and Austin at all. Stylistically, I think the Suns will prove to be more of a problem for these Lakers than this version of the Rockets team is. I really believe that. I don't think, as I already said in this video, I think the Rockets are probably better than the Suns this year, a little better right now. But overall, in terms of who you want to have to face in a 7-game series, I would rather see the Rockets than the Suns right now. For us, based on these circumstances. And so, I think this is as good as it gets. This is as good as it gets. Because you wasn't about to beat Ant-Man and Jaden McDaniels. That wasn't about to happen. The Blazers, I think Denny wipes the floor with you, and the defenders that the Blazers have is even more devastating than what the Suns have. So I think that you probably don't fare well against the Blazers under these circumstances either. Although you would probably rather see the Blazers under the idea that the experience with the Blazers is probably not there. But you do not want to run into Drew Holiday, Tamani Kamara, and Donovan Clingan and them defenders. You would much rather play this Rockets team. I'm telling you. And Kevin Durant, he can play well. I think he's going to have them games where he barely misses a shot. And that's going to be wonderful. But, like, who else is going to help him on this bench? If his bench only averaged 11 points between 4 people, how productive does he need to be to score against a Laker team that's dropping maybe 118, 120 points? Alperen Sengun, the turnover issues, the inefficiency ways that he's been playing with as of late. And he go 4 for 15. That's not going to fly. They're putting a lot of pressure on Amen Thompson to score, and he doesn't even attempt threes. Putting a lot of pressure on Reed Sheppard and Jae'Sean Tate and Tari Eason to be stars, for which they may be able to do 1 or 2 games out of the series. But every night they're going to need that. And I don't know that they can get that from those people under these circumstances. Tari hasn't been healthy very much, and Reed Sheppard is still developing. So it's like, if you tell me the Lakers win this series in 6, I wouldn't be overly surprised. Now, if you tell me the Lakers lose this series in 4, I wouldn't be overly surprised, because we're missing our best players, and we're not that great of a team without those guys. Let's be real. But, like, I think the Lakers playing their very best basketball are going to make a series out of this thing, man. I really do. They just got to stay focused, and they need guys to play closer to their ceiling and their floor on this Laker team. If we have any regression, unfortunately, we're going to be relying on some people who may regress. And like I said, we'd be out of here in 4 if Jackson Hayes and Rui Hachimura and DeAndre Ayton play at their floor. We're out of here in 4. You know, Jake LaRavia plays at his floor. We're out of here in 4. We need those guys to play better. But let's assume those guys play fair basketball and LeBron James stay healthy throughout the course of the series. I do expect us to at least win 2 games in the series, man. I really do. I didn't make a prediction for the Lakers. I've made it a point these last several years of the Lakers in the playoffs to not predict what we're going to do. I just think that it's, in my own weird way of looking at it, it's almost like a conflict of interest. Because here I am trying to win, trying to contribute to winning, and then I'm going to either bet with or against us. It just seems like I don't want to hear anybody on the Laker team predict the Lakers are going to win or lose this series, you know what I mean? And I feel like I'm part of the team in that regard as a talking head that contributes to this overall this system, this overall ecosystem. So for me, there will be no prediction on the Lakers. But you're gathering what I'm saying here. I think I'm in a roundabout way kind of giving you what I would think could possibly be happening here. I just think that the Los Angeles Lakers, if they were going to draw anybody under these circumstances, I would much rather it be the Rockets than pretty much any of the other teams in the Western Conference playoff picture. And I think the Rockets are flawed enough and they're disadvantaged just enough to where it's closer than maybe the Rockets would like it to be. And so that's what I want to say, man. I'm where I need to be. I got to get some things out of 7-Eleven. But when we going into this series tonight, if the Lakers draw first blood and keep home court, extending this series is what it's all about for us. I like our chances to make a real series out of this thing. And if we can make a real series out of this thing, we can put some real doubt in a Rockets team. And that's what it's all about. Video 44. Thank y'all for watching.